That's what I'm really looking
done.
for.
Hey.
Well, that's great.
Oh, my
Then
God, I nearly cried then.
Just say that. Well
There you
done.
go,
So did I.
Sucked in, my God. That deluded narcissist shouldn't be able to escape tough questions about what his ruinous lockdown policies and authoritarian streak did to this country. And something terrible is happening in the jungle, folks. The public are taking the bait and seem to be forgetting all the terrible things he did, that he's paid to be an MP and that he has abandoned his constituents. But they're falling in love with him. So according to the bookmaker William Hill, Hancock is now shockingly joint third favourite to be crowned king of the jungle, only trailing behind Mike Tindall and Jill Scott. I mean, Ant Middleton, I have to say, this has angered me, because I actually think ITV have gifted him this propaganda opportunity. It's going to make it much more difficult now for Hancock to be properly grilled in the inquiry that's to come. And I also feel like, actually, people just have such short memories. That's the problem, because he's now a celebrity. He's not a politician. This is what he wanted.
Yeah, as a nation, we have a horrible tendency to forgive and forget very quickly. If someone rolls over, we scratch their belly and they smile, and all of a sudden, he's back in the game. But, we're in a time of political sort of demise, political sort of crumbling, and he's out in the jungle pretending to be Mr. Nice Guy, asking for forgiveness with his crocodile tears. It's embarrassing.
Actually addressing what he did.
It's actually embarrassing to watch that and to see that. It makes you cringe inside because, when he was up there, whilst people couldn't visit their families, couldn't visit their loved ones, and all the shenanigans behind the scenes, and all of a sudden he's coming out going, no, you must adhere to this, we're all doing it, and then behind the scenes he's off playing games. He's almost like a uni student that's come out of a fraternity straight into the House of Parliament.
Isn't it brilliant that family, we only just heard about that in the last few minutes, that sign that they ran around the jungle. They had the guts to get out there and say what millions of people are actually thinking. Which is, this is the man who said, I'm putting my arm around, as Health Secretary, I'm putting my arm around the care homes, and then sent people back to care homes knowing they had COVID or that care home was full of COVID.
Which caused tens of thousands of deaths.
Which is unforgivable.
Yeah. Well, it caused tens of thousands of deaths, and then that's why he became such a lockdown authoritarian, Rebecca, because he had to make up for that terrible early decision. And that decision, I've researched it in depth, that decision was on Hancock. He got the advice and he chose to release the patients.
The bit, so I watched it on TikTok because I can't bring myself to watch the actual programme.
Good, because you'll be watching Dan Wootton tonight at 9 p.m.
As I do every night, and when it's not on, I watch repeats.
Not every night.
Yeah, I wish. But I was watching the full clip that's extracted from, and there's this bit that's almost like as a writer, it's a really interesting piece of characterisation. He's lying there on this hammock, and someone's like, "Did you get a lockdown fine?" And he goes, "No, I wouldn't have." And they were like, "Oh, but you broke that law, didn't you?" And the softness he's been playing the entire time slips, and he goes, "Well, it wasn't a law at that point, it was guidance." And then he goes back to a sort of "But I am just looking for a bit of forgiveness." He is still the little weasel underneath. He's just doing an act the whole time. He is so manipulative. And I am most disappointed in Chris Moyles because he is a very smart man and he's in there with him.
He's done nothing to
Totally. He was like,
But what about Charlene White, meant to be one of the country's top journalists?
To be fair, she's done more than anyone. She's done better than anyone else.
She gave him a softball question on the first night and then moved on, and she is meant to be the face of ITV News.
I am available. Would you
useless.
give me the week off to go and join? Because I'll go.
Exactly that. They're useless. You look at Matt Hancock as well. Sorry, Amanda.
No.
You look at Matt Hancock as well.
You can do that again. Again.
Amanda, calm down.
You look at Matt Hancock and the insincerity in his voice and in his delivery of we must stay at home.
Can you
he's
really
like a puppet on a
hear
string.
that?
He's not really. There's someone puppeteering above him.
So
he's like a puppet on a string.
Do you think he was a useful idiot during
100%. And, you know that by the way Boris acted, by the way he acted behind the scenes. They knew it wasn't serious. They knew that the message, the agenda was to push it upon the people to control the situation. No, which you can't. And he was, and I do feel for him a little bit. He was a puppet on strings then.
But see, I can't forgive him for that, because I'm sorry, in those moments...
No, you can't.
That's when you judge the character of someone.
It's unforgivable.
And Sorry,
If they asked you, if they said, come and do the last week and you can be in with Matt Hancock, would you go in?
Absolutely not. I've got a show to do here.
I know, but you
Yeah.
could...
9 o'clock.
Then you could ask them-
GB News,
then you could ask
baby.
them the big question.
No, look, I had Matt Hancock in here, right? And because the other thing that's really annoyed me is that Matt Hancock has done a whole load of softball interviews over the past
Soft
few
porn
months.
interviews.
No,
Yeah.
softball.
Oh, sorry.
Softball. So basically,
What he was doing with old Gina.
he's controlled the questions and he said, I won't talk about that. I wanted to have him here because I've been running on the show a lockdown inquiry to look into all aspects of lockdown. He was one of the architects of lockdown. But I was absolutely insistent, if you come in here, I wanted to do it for an hour. He refused, but we
Yeah, he
got
wouldn't
him
come
for
in.
half.
Go in the jungle, you get all day.
But I made it absolutely clear, nothing is off limits. I'm going to present you the facts of your decision making. I don't give a damn about your personal life. And I spent weeks and weeks researching because I wanted to make sure that he hadn't just been unfairly characterised for making those really bad decisions at the start. And unfortunately, it is on him. He had the advice and he chose to ignore it.
You know what, Dan? You're exactly right, and that's the government across the field. If the government could just be honest with us, we're not stupid, we're not idiots.
Yeah.
We know what's going on.
Exactly, I made a mistake.
And if
Yeah.
people are just
We
honest
made
with
the best
us,
judgment
it was a
then we
weird
can
time
be
we didn't-
forgiving.
yeah.